down here at the Dead Sea, and we've just made a stop because there are amazing, beautiful hand lotions at this store. I'm really keen to see some funny fast facts, so funny fact on Israel this week.
Oh, had an absolutely unreal time, but I would say one of the funniest fast facts was actually a misunderstanding of what happens in the kibbutz.
I think that certainly in Australia there's a lot with innovation being this continuous improvement side of things. And I think what this has done has probably made me think a little bit more about pushing outside of the boundaries of that and looking at innovation as, you know, moving more into that disruptive state, and the possibilities and what's happening here in the businesses that we've seen has just been quite incredible. So I think to come back and sort of challenge ourselves a little bit more, to look outside the boundaries, to think global, because I also think, you know, what we've learned a lot from here is that many businesses, they start thinking global. And in Australia, I think we start thinking local. So to challenge that norm a lot more, I think it is something that I'll definitely be taking back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tanya. Definitely think that we must start thinking more global, be audacious at first, and think big. I think that's certainly something I've taken away from this trip as well. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And technology?
Toda, Sophia, and awesome to be here. I think it has changed my opinion on particularly how government can do or contribute to the entire innovation and tech ecosystem now. And for me, one of the big takeaways is how there's this like thread between the Israeli culture, government, people, established tech, and the startup community, you know, all surrounding, you know, a wide range of things. So the necessity to do it for the people and the government, this concept where you can do things and not fail, and failure is promoted. There's obviously a lot of investment coming through, and there's additionally this thing which I wasn't really aware of, being the transition from people in and out of government into high tech here in Tel Aviv.
Innovation.
It's been an amazing week here, Soph. I guess what I would see is the inclusive nature of the ecosystem over here in Israel. I think a lot of countries try and do it, but it's been really interesting how everybody that we've spoken to has really embraced startup and innovation. And I think to be successful truly at a global level, you need that level of support, government, the investment community, the startup accelerator community, the traditional business community, the employment community, and the army is probably one thing that they've got going for them as well in terms of being really united and an opportunity of pushing through. So that's interesting, but I don't think that's entirely it. And the other thing that I guess I've really gotten out of this week or noticed is that everybody is excited and exuberant about the startup side of things. I mean, you know, we're talking about people in their early 20s, early 30s, but we're also seeing people in their 40s, 50s and 60s.
Places for me that have really stood out. First of all was Startup Nation, which was the first day, so started on a really big high. Heard about what they're doing from supporting the startups, but more importantly we heard from the health director, and the health director gave some brilliant insights about what they've been doing here for an extraordinarily long time. So they were really leading the way in the fact that they've been collecting medical data for the past 25 years of their citizens.
Wow, okay.
So they have a massive bank of data, so that's now feeding into their startup ecosystem, so they're able to actually give a whole lot of information, obviously with permission, but they've got a whole bank of information ready to go to help startups actually, especially in the artificial intelligence space, ready to get their projects going. So that's a really big head start compared to all.
So I think there's an opportunity for us again in financial services to really look at what are the big problems that we think we can solve, rather than just looking for opportunities to make the most profit in the shortest time.
Right. Okay, cool.
The third thing that I have is just probably probably something for all of us, which is to show more chutzpah, which I'm sure everyone has talked about.
Absolutely.
And for me, what that means is we're all personally responsible for raising our ideas, right, and giving our opinions.
Yep.
And if we don't, and our idea doesn't get across, then that's on us.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Other questions?
Well, Sam, I think that covers it all. I totally agree with you in the sense that that moment where you take responsibility and you show initiative and you have a bit of chutzpah and you're not afraid to fail, that's something that culturally it permeates the entire country of Israel.
Yeah.
Exceeded my expectations. This city is amazing. The way they deal with innovation, change, the risks that they're willing to take. I think it's really embedded in their culture.
Chutzpah?
Chutzpah, as we learned, my favourite word this week, apart from shababa.
Up to new ideas and new ways of thinking, right? So it's expanding what you currently know, because we can sit here and we can talk about what's best practice and we can go to places that do best practice, but if you're just seeing what you're already doing, you're not learning anything new. And I think, you know, real value is added to how you address a business problem or how you address a societal problem from you actually thinking about how you do things differently. So how do you add value out there you haven't been able to add previously? How do you innovate differently that when you haven't been able to do that previously? And that's how you gain a competitive advantage. It's how you actually add value to customers, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, cool.
It wasn't anyone thriving for themselves. They were a part of this bigger ecosystem that was answering broader questions bigger than themselves. And I think that's why with the culture of Israel is that they've sort of thrived out of diversity and adversity. So it's kind of like they've had to gel together in order to forge ahead. And I think that's a really nice lesson that Australia could learn. I mean, we're very much...
Bridget, I don't have one. Bridget, what's your fast fact? I'm really keen to know. I don't know.
Out there and angel investors fighting to start up. So there's more, there's not enough startups essentially. There's a great idea there, and there's VCs actually fighting for that particular startup founder to come on board with them. So in Australia, it's the reverse. There's startups there. People with lots of great ideas, but people because the Australian culture is so risk averse, we haven't had that shift yet where there's a lot of VCs coming on board or angel investors willing to take that risk. Of course, not all startups work out, but you've got to take that risk for a good idea to move forward. So that was something that I thought was really interesting and somewhere where Australia is completely at opposite ends of the scale to Israel. Any favourite words, Jess, that you would like to add to the conversation?
It's got to be number one word for me from this trip is chutzpah. You know, what a fabulous word. As soon as I heard it, I could relate to it straight away, and I'm definitely going to take that back home. I've already emailed it back to the boss and said that I've got a lot more in common with the Israelis and the culture here than what I originally thought. So it's chutzpah for me. So
well, mine's not Israeli. It's just my mixing of chutzpah with horseradish. So it's horseradish.
Oh, love it.
Horseradish.
All right, guys.
All right.
Over and out from us.
Thank
Shalom.
you.
Shalom.
Lahaim.
John, do you have a fast fact? I think you do, actually.
I do.
Are you jumping in here, Claire? Yeah. I mean, sorry.
So I learned this week how to do a perfect high five.
Okay.
So we're going to demonstrate here.
All right.
So on the count of three, I'll just do it.
Oh! Tell
So
them
the
now.
trick is you look at their elbows and it's always a perfect high five.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I've got my